All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome
Hi
back to another
everyone.
episode of Around the Block. This is a live podcast series. I'm your host, Aaron Cottrell, Senior Product Manager at Validation Cloud. If you don't know us, we're a Web3 data and AI company. We do RPC, we do staking, and increasingly now in the data space. Uh, we highlight builders in the space and what they're working on. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Ignacio Pasta, who's head of engineering at the Somnia blockchain. Welcome, Ignacio.
Hi Aaron. Thank you. Nice to see you again. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to be a good conversation, I think. So, as we usually do in these conversations, what we're going to do is we're going to get to know Ignacio a little bit, like his journey into Web3, and then we're going to sort of dive into the Somnia blockchain, learn about it at a bit of a high level, and then drop into some of the demos and use cases, and talk about some things coming up. So, with
Sounds good.
with that, I'll sort of hand it over to you, Ignacio. I know everyone has their sort of winding path into Web3 and then what they're working on now. So I'd love to hear about your journey and then what you get up to day at Somnia.
Yeah, sure. So mine is quite a journey, to be honest. Like I studied originally economics, and I was going towards like the international trade route. But for reasons, I ended up living in China and working in a tech company, and then I started to get more into the technical area. So I started to learn to program. I started to go into more technical roles, and I ended up in basically doing a master's degree in AI before it was trendy.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
That should be in the
but
top of your LinkedIn profile.
that should be there. But back in the day, it was just like a very quirky thing, and it was not that useful. Now it's like all the craze, right? And because of that, and because of my economics background, I pivoted to blockchain because that was also like super interesting. And then also like I found the ideas behind the whole blockchain community and Ethereum community very appealing.
Mm-hmm.
So I started again learning by myself, working on different projects. I started during NFT summer,
Mm-hmm.
so getting very deeply into NFTs, and their relations with gaming and real world assets. Like those are the two areas that interest me the more. Basically, bringing NFTs to some actual use cases in the real world.
Yeah.
If you can call gaming the real world, but they are one of the biggest industries out there, right? So
Yeah, of course.
it's real enough for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then at some point I joined Improbable. They are this UK company that were building a metaverse, and they built a blockchain team
Mm-hmm.
for giving an economic layer to all of these metaverse experiences. So
Yeah.
being able to trade assets, having protocols that were able to attest that an event happened on chain or
Mm-hmm.
within one of the metaverses. And then from Improbable, basically this project became too big, and it became Somnia, and the company was formed completely separate. So the VSF Foundation was set up, and from the VSF Foundation comes from Somnia, and I went from that team to head of engineering now at Somnia. We've been building nonstop for a year and a half now,
Mm.
so pretty crazy building speed. And now we're here. We're very excited. Testnet is rolling on. Mainnet, it's on the work. So yeah, quite a journey to be honest.
Yeah, wow. Economics to work in China to back to Europe to Improbable and Somnia. So for those that sort of don't know Somnia or might be familiar with Ethereum but not the specifics of the chain, I guess could you sort of give us the 30,000 foot view of like how it works, why it's different, just so people can understand?
Absolutely. So Somnia, it's basically a super duper fast L1. It's not
Mm,
an L2, which is like when we are talking about the speed of the chain, everyone assumes it's an L2. It's not. It's an L1. And the basic tenet or the basic hypothesis behind Somnia was the EVM. It's not bad by itself, but
mm,
it's not that it's badly implemented, but it can be implemented better and made
mm-hmm,
faster.
mm-hmm,
So on one side, we wanted to like be able to leverage all of the EVM ecosystem that's already there, and like all
Yeah.
the developers are familiar with it. So it was something that we didn't want to lose by doing our own thing, our own compiler, our own language. But also the current existing solutions. Back when we started, there were a lot of L2 solutions or like one-click solutions that were starting to pop up,
Yeah.
and none of them had the performance characteristics that we wanted or that we envisioned that weren't going to be needed for these gaming applications or massive gaming applications.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically like everything that we do at Somnia. It's guided by this. It's like full EVM compatibility, full ecosystem compatibility, which I would argue it's different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then as fast as it's humanly or physically possible
Yeah.
for a distributed system.
Yeah. And the flagship number that gets thrown around is like up to 1 million transactions per second, right? Am I getting it wrong?
Yes, that's right. So we have some internal benchmarks.
Mm.
We got to 1 million transactions with a special, how do you say that? Special workload, special road that we developed. That one is not going to be available yet,
Mm-hmm.
but we are very comfortable getting up to like 500k TPS with no further tricks. But
Yeah.
yeah, million TPS has been achieved internally. I'm sounding like OpenAI right now. Like the AGI has been achieved internally. Then what I'm very excited to see if we get to do that on the wild as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And so I guess some of the differences from other chains, and correct me if I'm getting this wrong, like the validators hold their own stream of transactions, each validator, and then they sync back to the central ledger. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Rather than a central ledger, is like the head of the chain, right? So
Right.
it's instead of doing block compression where you're sending the whole thing back and forth and distributing it, you're doing streaming compression where there is a head chain, which is basically like the reference, and then each validator has their own data chain.
Mm-hmm.
It's this, in case people are interested in looking it up, it's this Autobahn consensus or motorway consensus, depending on where you want to find it.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's very lightweight proof of stake consensus that just lets us have like this massive speeds without a lot of the overhead.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So I thought what we might do is get you into sort of demoing a few things. I know you mentioned you're in testnet now, but I know there's a lot of things happening. So yeah, if you want to fire up the screen
So
share.
yeah, let's do that. First thing that I want to show, it's not really a demo, but I just want to showcase what are we planning to do for both testnet and mainnet, right? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the game CG display page for Somnia. As you're seeing, you can see we're targeting a lot of Web 2.5 games and Web 3 games
Mm-hmm.
in different stages of development that are going to start being available
Do you
very
want to
soon.
explain the difference between 2.5 and 3 in terms of games? Because people might not.
Yes, no, this is more like an internal definition, I would say. So Web 2.5 games for me, they are games that have an element of Web 3 but are not fully on chain. So like the
Mm-hmm.
logic is not fully there. But you have NFTs that represent maybe your profile, and you have I don't know, ERC 1155 that maybe represent objects within the game and are consumables, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Web3 enough, to be honest. So maybe I'm being a bit unfair. But then when you're working at Somnia and you can see what can be done, that your definitions start to change a bit,
Mm-hmm.
because in insomnia with Somnia you're basically able to do the things that you would never do in any other chain because they just make no sense. They make no economic sense. They make no technical sense because like the latencies kill you, etc.
Mm.
But with Somnia you could basically have a real-time game, and I'm going to show you this prototype that we had. Prototype, it was live, that the guys over at M Square did as well, which was called Chant. So I'm going to put a video while I talk about it. But basically, on this game, every player position, every action, like putting a block, mining a block, everything was an on-chain transaction. And this is what I'm calling a purely Web3 game, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. And that's possible because of the, I guess, the transactions per second you can achieve, and the fees are very low. Is that right?
Exactly, exactly. We're targeting to be an order or two orders of magnitude cheaper than the competition. And
Mm,
then the transaction speed, the TPS, is also an order of magnitude comfortably above the competition at the max speed. The problem here starts to be when you have basically adjacent systems
right.
that it's very hard to keep up with the chain itself, which seems like I'm kidding or I'm humble bragging, but I'm not. Like, problem here for us the first when we're developing our own applications to showcase Somnia is it's very hard to yeah, for adjacent systems basically to keep up, like explorers, indexers, etc. We're working together with some amazing teams that are doing like an awesome job.
Hmm.
But it was funny, or it was surprising to discover like a lot of these technologies, they assume that blockchains run at certain speed, and
Right.
then when you have 10 times that, then everything starts to fall apart basically.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I can imagine people being like, "How many transactions per second?" Oh, okay. Yeah. Were you going to run
Mhm.
through some? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
let's go to like do some basic transactions, right, in different places. So you have, for example, Subnext. I really like this team. They have a very complete platform with perps, swaps. You can launch your meme coin. You have yield, like liquidity pools that you can earn yield. It's a very complete platform. So I just want you to take this away, and then I hope that this, because it's on a demo, uh, don't mind about the liquidity pool. This is testnet and it's very unbalanced, but I want to give you the feeling of how it feels to be doing the transaction insomnia. I'm signing the transaction right now. You can see it on the screen share, I guess. That's now, and then that's it. We did it.
Nice.
It was
Fast.
almost, it was absolutely
And
instant.
56 block confirmations already, right? Like that was.
Exactly. Somnia is running at 10 blocks per second, so
Yeah.
it's quite it's quite fast. And the user experience. This is what we talk about when we're talking about all the applications that Somnia can unlock. Right? You
Hmm.
are basically not feeling like you are using a blockchain. It's just so fast that it's above everything else that you can experience. Like we
Yeah.
have this silly game, for example, on our own site. For those of you that are interested, there are two sites on Somnia. So you have Somnia.network, which is like more general, commercial. You can explain the project, and testnet.somnia.network, which is this one. And in this one, we basically get up some prototypes. We have, for example, oh yeah, sorry, we have of course our faucet, and then we have this game where you can just send tokens to either someone from the team or to a random address, and
Oh
it's
no, just a random address on the chain, just like a little gift.
yeah, just spread it. And again, it's super fast, it's instant. Like the feeling, it's just that you are making a real-time interaction on on the chain, that you can't even blink. Then
Nice.
there is, I don't want to talk bad about other projects because they are not, but some wallets, some of the browser-based wallets,
Mm.
they they can't keep up. Like the transaction goes through and then it takes sometimes, because they are querying the transaction receipts, and
Yeah.
they are querying it assuming like a 5 second, 10-second delay.
Yeah.
And then it shows up, but it's like this happened 4 seconds ago, and then you're waiting another four
Yeah.
seconds to just
So it's
like
making you
query.
look bad. Like, is that what you're saying?
And yes, exactly. Yes, that's
It's
why
not
I'm
unleashing the speed.
it's not giving you the feeling for the speed. But then if you use, there are some other wallets that are doing it they're picking it up much quicker. And then we're
Nice.
doing tricks on the front end where we just send you to the transaction hash on the Explorer. We are very confident that it's going to be there, and
Yeah.
other projects are doing the same.
So if someone sort of watches this or hears about this and's like, how which wallet should I get to start? Like, do I just add Somnia testnet RPC to my like MetaMask, or do I go get something else? Like, I guess what would you tell them to do?
Yeah, I mean, MetaMask works and it's like a staple on the ecosystem. I
Mm,
am a personal fan of Rabbi Wallet. I think that product is so good, and they are like really keeping up with a lot of innovations around the space. So I personally use that. I think it's the one that works the best. It's
mm.
annoying because it's asking you for confirmation on everything 3 times, but that's part of the point. So I'm
Yeah.
all for it.
Oh, okay. So someone could go to MetaMask or Rabbi Wallet, then go to testnet.somnia.network, and then I guess could add the network and then use the faucet,
Yes.
and then if they want, go send some random tokens or send some
You can
tokens to a
or
random
you
address.
can send you can send them to me, guys. We have a leaderboard internally, like who is getting more love from
Okay.
the
I
community.
see. I see where this is going. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, thank you for that. I know the other thing that you and I have been talking about a bunch is that going from like a project like on a whiteboard to launching a chain to testnet and beyond is no easy feat, and it's not just the sort of the engineering at the blockchain level; it's everything that goes along with it. So I sort of said this to you half jokingly recently, like sort of what would you tell your past self about launching a blockchain or bringing a blockchain into the world? I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that because I'm sure that's interesting to other people.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's a very good conversation I would like to have myself a year and a half ago, right? First off, I will say that the blockchain implementation itself, it is absolutely important. It's key, don't get me wrong, but it's not as important as you think it is. Like
Mm,
the tech takes care of itself in a way.
mm,
But then the most important part for the success of any blockchain, I'm come to find it's the ecosystem that is built around it.
mm,
And it's not only about the visible projects. So like you have your dexes, you have your um, lending protocols or NFTs and communities. That is very important because without them, like no one is using the chain, and then
mm,
whatever you do, it's worthless. But
mm,
then there are a lot of projects, there are a lot of companies and people working on kind of almost invisible infrastructure. Or for example, you guys are over at Validation Cloud. I had no idea about the whole industry that's behind validating and securing chains from the
mm.
hardware, from software perspective. It's super complex. And then other pieces that are key for developers. I'm a smart contract developer myself. I still consider myself a smart contract developer, even if they don't let me do this a lot these days. But there are a lot of things that I'm even feeling a bit ashamed saying this out loud, but because it's so obvious, but you never think about this. There
Mm,
are a lot of smart contracts that you use out there, the standards that you they are just there. Like yeah,
mm.
you are aware somehow that someone authored them and some people work on them, but they're kind of just like a given if you have not been in the space for the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So indexers, the blog explorers, that all of those are that there are stuff that are there if you
Mm,
just come new to the space, or you're just coming to just you're joining a platform and start developing on top of a platform.
mm.
But when you find yourself with a blockchain and no explorer, and then you say my blockchain is basically useless because there is no UI that people can actually
Yeah.
see what's going on,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
frustrating and it's very humbling.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then I guess there's also talking to exchanges and custodians and like the rest of the kind of piece of the puzzle as well, right?
Of course, there is this whole legal aspect of it to do stuff in a proper way.
Mm,
There is this that there are a wider range of negotiations that you need to do with different actors to basically get everything in line and get everything like the way it should be, so
mm,
it's successful and you can both support your community, support the developers, support make the token available for people in a way that's like easy and intuitive, right?
mm,
There are some projects that are more like deeply for deeply, I would say, nerdy. Like, yeah, you need to know what an RPC is, whatever.
mm.
because we are targeted to like mass consumers, or we want
Mm,
to onboard people in an easy way. The
mm,
thing that I'm finding hardest is to make this as easy as possible. Like I would really in the future like that you don't even know that you're using a blockchain. Like
mm,
nobody cares what's the database behind, I don't know,
mm,
Facebook or Instagram, right?
mm, mm.
In the end, you never need to know what's behind the chain. Now, right now, you need to know it, but all of those steps are very interesting, and I think there is a lot of work there. And then finally, if I may, the last layer that I never realized as an engineer that was so key was marketing
Mm.
and education. Like that is such a difficult work in
Yeah.
today's industry. Like so
Yeah.
much competition, people doing super creative stuff,
Mm.
and you just need to keep up. And the marketing team over at Somnia, they do like an amazing work. Kudos to them from here. That's very, very hard and very competitive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a great point. I was once like listening to a talk, and this guy was talking about this new tech that his team had built, and he said, "I recently learned the difference between like the definition of a release, like us putting some code out into the world, and
Mhm.
then like a launch or an announcement where you have to
Oh
translate
yeah,
all of that into like you should pay attention to this thing for these reasons, like, and it's he was just saying like I was only focused on the release aspect, but if no one knows about it, then no one's gonna or can understand it. No one's gonna come along
yeah,
and use it or pay attention.
yeah. There is this. I would even say like it's like a sickness, right? If you're in a team that's very technically focused,
Mm,
and you may fall into the temptation of just building stuff because it's cool, not because
mm,
anyone is asking for it or needs
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So staying in touch with reality, right? Through like marketing team or an ecosystem
mm,
team that actually knows what people are asking for, what they need. I think it's absolutely key. Otherwise, you're just going to again start building features just because they're cool, because you think that they are difficult to do.
yeah, yeah. Um, I was curious, like the obviously the gaming focus of Somnia. Did the people building the initial games or some of your partners sort of come out quite naturally from the history of Improbable, or to that marketing piece? Did you have to go and say to people you might be interested in building a game because of this tech? Like, how did that sort of form to the point it is now?
I would say it's all around the place. So some of the games that I showed you before, they were pure Web2 games that saw in Web3 new mechanics for their gaming community.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have people who were already into Web3 and they were feeling limited by the current platform they were on.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided that the promise that Somnia offered was basically what they needed to keep up with their vision for the game long term.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them they come through Improbable, but most of them come from other partners. We partner with Uprising Labs
Mm-hmm.
for the which is like a game Web3 game publisher, right?
Yeah.
And then there is a these are like the big games, let's say. Then it's also funny to see how a lot of games are popping up from the community. So
Mm.
a lot of course, low budget mini games, browser based games, but people are really enjoying those, and you can see them circulating around the community and people talking about them, and they're doing like a big buzz around Somnia, and they are the ones that are faster in pushing the boundaries of what you can do,
Okay.
which is always like very fun to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that they come from all over directions. There and very different reasons why they joined the Somnia ecosystem.
Got it. And how do you sort of stay in touch with sort of on the ground feedback of the chain as you're sort of trying to develop it? Is that does that sort of come to you via Discord or like people telling you things, or how do you go about that?
So Discord is a big one. I would say X or Twitter. It's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Then the in-person events like ECC or DevCon, etc. Those are like opportunities, are very good opportunities to basically get out of your cave talk with people on the industry, see what they're doing. Not much with consumers, right? But the day-to-day response from community that basically are interacting through Discord or Twitter, that is like the amount of feedback you get through there. It's just amazing.
Awesome.
You,
Awesome.
you and you also have a basically like a whole team of Q&A people super interested in everything working all right. Like all the feedback that they give, it's always, of course, very well intentioned. But the second or the nanosecond something is broken, you will get all the reports through
Yeah, yeah,
Discord.
yeah, yeah. I guess have you sort of changed how you go about like the testnet releases in any way? I know there's obviously you've got to like make changes you want to make on the path to mainnet, but like have you had to package things up bigger or smaller or time them in any way as you develop the chain?
I don't think that that has been something that influenced like the chain development itself. It probably influenced more the type of projects that we onboarded in the ecosystem.
Mm, okay.
If there was any modification to the chain itself, that one came from feedback from developers, for example.
Mm, okay. Okay. Um, Cool. So if like anyone watching or listening, I guess I can share my screen. So
Mhm.
anyone watching or listening wants to like sort of engage with the chain. You've got your testnet.somnia.network. Um,
Yes, this one is more for like testing out stuff. So you can
mhm.
add your testnet to your MetaMask or to your Rabbi
Oh,
wallet.
yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so
He says if he's
send
got
me.
his. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
There we go.
Yeah, there are some warnings. Trust me, this is a bit of a trust me bro situation right now because we're still very new.
Okay. Okay. And then you can get your
Yeah.
tokens.
You can get your tokens and then you can send them. You can swap the ping pong tokens, which are like you can see them all the time on Explorer.
Okay. Nice. 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 And if you want to
And
learn more about the chain itself,
the
it's
Somnia.network.
okay. Cool, cool, cool. Um, awesome. So I guess like I'll stop sharing a sec. So if what are I know you're working towards mainnet. Like I guess what are some of the things sort of coming up? I know you've got a few people going to the ETHCC event in
Mhm.
France next week. Tell us a little bit about sort of what's going on.
So yeah, I mean, by the way, we didn't talk about this, but I'm kind of like a late addition to the HCC, so I don't know if you will be there, but
Oh,
in
nice.
the yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, we the Somnia team will be there again, gathering feedback from people, but also starting to get a bit of the feeling of how we want to move over to the next stage, which is
Mm-hmm.
mainnet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, no dates yet about this, but of course, testnet has been going on for since November. No, since
Mm-hmm.
November, no, since early February. DevNet was on back in November. We go so fast, I like stuff gets mixed on my head. But of course, we are fairly ready for to start like exploring how we're going to move over to the next stage.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited about this. This is the real thing. We during testnet you can basically mess up. You can play around and then basically find out, right?
Yeah.
But for mainnet, we are going to take all of those learnings from testnet, apply them over there. The idea or the strategy here is that when mainnet goes live, it's going to be fully set up. It's going to be plug and play. Users are going to find their favorite dApps. They're going to be able to do stuff from day one. So
Mm-hmm.
there is not going to be like any of these situations where, yeah, the chain is live. What's there to do? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be ready for everyone, and it's going to be that everything that you would expect to find on a chain, it's already going to be there and ready waiting for you. So
Yep.
yeah, keep tuned about it.
Nice. And did you have to sort of decide whether you were going to build like a lot of apps yourself or whether you were going to partner? So you mentioned explorers and things like was there a
Yeah,
decision of like we're going to spend a chunk of time building our own explorer or we're going to use I guess how did you think about like what you build as an app on the chain versus other people doing it?
that one is a thing that actually is interesting. It changed over time a lot. So the strategy here was we partner first. We don't want to be like that chain where everything is branded after our own thing. Like we want to let people build on Somnia. We want to get feedback from other teams and see what are the challenges that they meet. And if there was some piece that we couldn't find an appropriate partner to work with, then that's the thing that we would be building ourselves. And it's funny because in the beginning we built a lot of stuff ourselves. This testnet page, for example, it had kind of like a meme coin competition. It had more stuff that it has now, but we basically have been dropping them as we went because some other amazing teams came over and they are able to do this way better than we ever could.
Nice.
So that has been very, very nice to see. Like the community is growing organically and you have a lot of projects that, again, they are not you. And this is also very important for the chain because if you have a lot of this is like the same reason why you don't review your own PRs. You have a lot of context or what's how this should work. So you kind of like unconsciously do the movement to see to do it in a way that it's going to work.
Yeah.
Then overcomes a partner that has zero context. They do the same things that they do over at Ethereum or any other chain, and then
Yeah.
it doesn't work. And it's like, okay, we are targeting to be like 100% compatible with the EVM ecosystem. We're doing something weird, and RPC response, that's not what some other teams are expecting, for example, very small things, but are very important to, again, make the platform plug and play and easy for developers to just onboard over there.
Nice, awesome. I know we're sort of heading towards sort of the end of our conversation. I guess if people want to engage in the community or learn about building on Somnia, like should they sort of go to some of the like Somnia.network website, join the Discord, or like how if someone's interested in building should they get started?
It depends on who you are. So if you're a builder, for everyone, I would suggest to explore Somnia.network first. So that's going to give you a very good overview. There is also docs, Somnia.network, which is giving you like basically the technical docs. We're going a bit deeper on the optimizations that we went through on the node level to make Somnia faster. We have a lot of code examples from our DevRel to do stuff in the Somnia way, or like onboard developers, new developers into Somnia, and then you can just try it out the applications that we have listed on either somnia.network/ecosystem or at the bottom of the testnet.somnia.network. There you can basically find all the dApps that are live in the ecosystem or are going to be upcoming.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I
And
think I'll just share that here. There's
yeah,
this
exactly, over
app
there.
hub when you
App
scroll
Hub,
down. Yeah,
exactly, that's it. So
cool.
that's where you can go and play around with the different stuff that it's going on in Somnia. And lastly, if you want to reach out, Twitter and Discord are the best places to be. Discord is a single server, of course, but on Twitter, we have this strategy where we are basically separating the different target publics. So you have Somnia Games if you're interested in gaming. You have the Somnia ecosystem if you're a developer. You have Somnia.network, which is the general brand Twitter account. And even if you're into InfoFi and yapping about Somnia, there is Somnia Yappers, which take care of you. So
Wow. Okay.
you
Got everybody covered.
perfect.
That's
That's the idea. We're not
awesome.
leaving anyone behind.
Nice, 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 nice. Cool. So maybe is there anything you want to share? It talks about sort of how to find information, but as we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to, I guess, point people to that like we may have mentioned or we might not have to learn or explore Somnia?
I don't think I left anything out actually. Like you gave me the chance of talking about all the platforms that we have set up and all the ways that you can reach out. So I would just say that don't be shy. The team is amazing and the community is very welcoming. In general, I'm finding the Somnia community to be very positive. So if you're just new and want to join the conversation, don't be shy. Just jump ahead. You're going to find someone on the other side that's going to like welcome you and introduce you to whatever is it that you're interested into.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll sort of wrap it up there. I think that was a very interesting sort of overview, and then dive into the various aspects of Somnia, some of the apps and some of the use cases, and talking about the tech as well. So, thank you everyone for joining us. We look forward to following along and supporting TestNet on the road to Somnia mainnet. And if anybody sort of wants to miss some of this or wants to watch it back, you can go to our Validation Cloud X account or youtube.com/Validation Cloud, and you can watch the stream. And if you're curious about other networks or anything to do with staking or RPC, you can also go to our website, validationcloud.io. So all that remains for me to do is say thank you to Ignacio, and I hope everybody has a good rest of their Wednesday. We'll wrap it up there.
Thank you, Aaron, and thanks Validation Cloud for having me here. See you soon.
See you. Bye.